what do we have here? We have SD Refinery, Words Matter, Steve Lonergan, and Rock Schindler. Who's Rock? That's awesome.
Thank you.
I love that name. I want my name to be Rock. SD Refinery. What is that?
So we are a business that we have a technology that we use to read and interpret sentences. We have over a decade, 13 years into the business. What we're doing is using it to transform the way insurance companies are able to manage frontline underwriters and claims. So that's what it is. Technology that reads and interprets sentences.
So like AI.
Well, no, we would say it's more fundamental than AI, because what we're doing with our tool is giving people a way to significantly enhance their productivity, and we don't want to make decisions for them. We want to put them in a position to be able to read a lot more information, see a lot more information, and help them make better decisions. Does that make sense?
Can you give me an example?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you look at workers' comp claims, we have, and it's important to understand with our technology that we can either wholesale information, meaning that we can go in and find specific pieces of information, or we can create back-end user reports. And so we partnered with Milliman to bring to the market Claim Measure Workers' Comp, where we use 12 operational metrics to look at an entire population of work comp claims. We can score every claim and every adjuster. And that completely changes the conventional approach to where a manager would go in and take a sample. If you had a population of 3,000, conventional approach is to go in and take a sample of
like 30,
50,
Right.
100 claims.
Yeah.
We're reading all 3,000, and the advantage of doing that is three things: faster results, because you can look at the whole population in a couple hours. You can create new knowledge because you can see the whole population, so you can identify the dangerous outlier files. And it creates consistent measurement, because I can measure someone's productivity today, next month, period over period.
productivity of the adjuster, or
The
productivity
decisions.
of the person that was injured?
No, the productivity of the adjuster.
Okay.
But that's a great question, Nick, because we can also use it to go inside and tell the story of any of the events going on in the claim file. For example, the story of the claimant, or the story of the medical provider, the story of the litigation, or the story of the adjuster. So in the example I just gave you, we're telling you the story of the adjuster. And I can keep going if you'd like.
Yeah, I want to.
Okay,
I want to
so-
sort of peel back. Like, what is it that you would find?
Yeah, so
the speed, like, immediately
Right.
sticks out. Like, okay, it's just hard for a human to kind of process through a lot of those files.
So
That's right.
you'll appreciate this analogy, because you probably saw, like I did in the mid 1980s, the way in which the electronic spreadsheet transformed the way businesses work with numbers.
Sure.
And it set up the environment where you could pull numbers out, put it onto a platform, and then it was up to the user, you or I, to put in the formulas, the pivot
borders.
tables, whatever it was, to answer the question, right? So that same metamorphosis is happening with written documentation, where we can pull that documentation out, put it in our platform, and if somebody says, well, what does it give you? I say, what question are you trying to answer? Just like the Excel spreadsheet doesn't give you an answer, it gives you a platform from which you can take an enormous amount of information and do a really sophisticated analysis. So the equivalent would be, if you're going to take a sample of records and read it, it'd be the same thing as using a 10-key calculator to do a financial analysis rather than a spreadsheet.
Yep. Where'd the idea come from?
Great question. So we started this in 2005, and around the turn of the century, the technology, there was a group of linguists from the University of Utah that had patented their technology to identify and distinguish the nouns that were the recipient of actions versus the initiators of actions. And
Sounds like school.
it is.
It is.
It's fifth grade
It's
grammar.
Very much so.
Fifth grade
Yeah.
grammar. But that was kind of the beginning. And if you went back to the Gartner hype cycle, they called it text analytics. And the peak of expectations for text analytics was around 2004. The trough of disillusionment was 2005 and 6. And we've been on the slope of enlightenment ever since then.
Enlightenment. I love that.
The slope of enlightenment. And really, Steve and I both collectively have probably 75 years of experience in insurance and risk management. And ultimately, what you really come to appreciate is that it's the simple things that you can't execute that create problems. And ultimately what we've got with this tool is something that has transparency, and it offers people the ability to understand what's happening with their information. In a lot of the AI tools, predictive modeling tools, and machine learning don't have transparency. They're too black box, and so people don't have confidence. We have 100% transparency, and that creates a lot more confidence in people's ability to understand what's happening with their process.
Yeah, that explains the move into insurance, because you have a you both have a risk management background.
Yep.
Yeah.
It seems like though there would be applications for this outside of insurance.
There is. So our technology is agnostic as to industry. The reason we're here today is because 13 years ago I saw all sorts of applications, and I've spent the last 13 years honing the technology to our specific needs in the industry.
Yeah.
But our technology, we can go into any other industry. Healthcare is a great example, because healthcare and insurance have the same degree of, they have the same characteristics in that professionals have to make judgment. You feel pain differently than I do in healthcare. In insurance, there's a lot of judgment that goes with risk. And in both those industries, then people have to create a lot of written documentation to document the reason they're making a decision.
Yeah.
And so healthcare and insurance are really the two places where we have a lot of focus, and of course there's a lot of healthcare going on within insurance claims.
Yeah, plus I was going to say workers' comp's the bridge.
Yep.
For a lot of that, because that essentially is healthcare.
Yeah.
Right, in a different way. Can you talk about the Accelerator? How did you get associated with it?
So, well, I'm trying to find a way to let Steve answer some questions, but so maybe Steve, you can chime in, or you can comment on that.
No, it's pretty simple. One of our board members is an advisor here, and we were talking to her about different ways we could ramp up the company. I just joined last fall, so I'm the new kid on the block, and Pat said, hey, there's this cool accelerator down in Des Moines, you should check it out, and Rock applied, and we were accepted, and it's been great. I mean, the amount of time that the mentors have given us has just been a great gift.
That's been a common theme with everyone that we've talked to, is how valuable the mentor relationships are.
Yeah.
It is. I mean, that's the signature of the program, in my humble opinion.
But accelerators are not necessarily for everybody. Could you talk about the mentorship's one valuable element, the funding is another valuable element. For those that are that are listening or watching, when should you seriously consider an accelerator? Like I think people might be jumping in too soon. What's sort of the decision making to understand or to feel confident that this is the right move for us?
I think everybody's got a different opinion. I would ask Steve to give his opinion as well. My opinion is that after you've crossed the threshold of having proven that you believe in it beyond all else, and for me, that was a very defining moment when ultimately you know it's your passion, you know you believe in it, and you know you're gonna. It's not a question of if you can make it; it's a question of how you're gonna make it work. And for me, that's the right time to get involved in the accelerator.
Whenever I hear that answer, I always think of Steve Jobs' reality distortion field.
Right.
And it's like you just have to push through, because doubt is going to creep all over the place. But if you get to that point where it's just like there's definitely something here, there might be something there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think one of the insights that we've gotten is at the end of the day, insurance companies have, strong executives, brilliant actuaries, investment gurus. At the end of the day, success and failure is based on the frontline underwriters, the risk management folks, and the claims people. Mm-hmm. If they don't make good decisions, it doesn't matter how good your rates are, how brilliant your strategy is, your company's going to fail. And for management to have an objective tool to evaluate the performance of these people and to be able to do it consistently over time is a pretty unique thing, I think, that we're bringing to the industry.
Yeah. Sounds like a war. The front line. The soldiers are not taken care of on the front line. It doesn't matter what brilliant ideas the generals come up with.
That's right. That's right. And one of the kind of shocking statistics that we uncovered when we were doing research is Last year, in 2017, the industry spent $20 billion on work comp claims and over $5 billion in adjustment expenses.
Wait, say that again?
Of the $20 billion that we got to the customer, $5 billion was spent figuring out how to pay it.
25%.
27% of the
27%.
indemnity it worked out to.
Yeah.
You know,
And that's actually been trending negatively. So we've got all this wonderful technology in the business and a fundamentally no-fault system designed to get injured workers, you know, taken care of and back to work has turned into this morass of lawyers and overhead. And you know, we think having technology like ours can really take a bite out of that.
And just to add emphasis to that point, when we said the $20 billion, it's to the injured worker. So when we say client in this situation, it's the injured worker. So $5 billion spent deciding how to pay $20 billion to the injured worker.
Yeah. It doesn't make sense.
It really doesn't.
For a system that's designed to protect the injured worker.
I don't think there's anyone that would be listening that would say the workers' comp industry is functioning efficiently.
Exactly.
I think there are some problems. SD Refinery, words matter. I love that. Words matter.
Thank you.
We're back to grammar school. We've gone full circle. And we're back to the beginning. Steve, thank you.
Very nice
Ron,
to see you.
Thank you.
Nick, thank you very much.
Thanks.
That's
Awesome.
That's just my way of
Yeah, segmenting it.
cutting the file.
Good. Well, you'll enjoy Jim too. He's got a great story.